Hi, I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principle self-government. In this video, we're talking about how children are affected by parental conflict. In this video, we're going to talk about the many ways that children can be affected by parental conflict, and then I'm going to give you something to do about that. Nobody likes conflict. Even children don't like conflict. I think there are a lot of people who assume that because a child is small, they don't know what's going on. They assume they hear words on a TV or in music, and because they don't know the words yet or have not become familiar with them, that they don't understand what they mean. And that's not exactly true. There are tones that are associated with all of the words and looks that characters give each other. The stories in the book carry a feeling with them, and we all learn by tone and by feeling much more than we even learn by words. So if parents are fighting with each other, if husband and wife or two partners are fighting with each other, even if the fight happens behind closed doors, but there's still some tension afterward, if it doesn't get resolved, the children know that something is different. They feel like something is not quite right. For many years, I've taught something called a relationship pyramid. In this relationship pyramid, I basically say, okay, the very top of the pyramid, the part that every parent wants to get to is correcting negative behaviors in their children. Well, if we draw a line under that at the very tip top of the pyramid, and then we put another line down a little ways, the section underneath correcting negative behaviors is teaching the correct behaviors. The section underneath teaching correct behaviors is the relationships that the parents have with the child. The section underneath that section is the section of the parents having relationships with each other and having that be a good relationship. And then the section below that relationship, which is the base of the pyramid, is the relationship with goodness or the relationship with God or truth. So what we see in this pyramid structure is that in order to solve our problems and correct behaviors within our children, we need to first start with ourselves and get ourselves rooted, secure, basing our actions and our thoughts and our beliefs on something that is true instead of something that's just emotional. Then we need to work on our relationship with our spouse or our partner. Then we need to work on our relationship with our child. Then we need to do proper teaching. Then we can correct the problems. So what is going to happen if the parent relationship is not good? Well, if the parent relationship is not good, then there's no foundation for that teaching and for the parent-child relationship or for the correction of the negative behaviors. So we see very naturally then that the negative behaviors are going to struggle being corrected, and the teaching is not going to land in the right place because there won't be as much of a sense of trust there. We base our trust of another person on how we feel about them, whether they are safe, whether they are not safe, if they are truthful, if they are principled. We base our ability to listen to them and learn from them in everything on how they relate to us and to other people. I'm a legislator right now in my state, and I base my trust on the other people that I am working with in the legislature. And if there's a lobbyist that comes to me or a constituent that comes to me, I base my trust on that person's behavior and what I feel like my relationship is to them. So how I perceive them and how they perceive me. Now on my side, I try to always give them charity, kindness, appreciation, understanding as far as how I'm perceiving them. But if I feel like they are perceiving me in a way where they just want to use me, control me, those types of things, then I immediately distance myself and think, I can't trust you. That's just how it works. That's how it works in business, how it works in family. So if we want our children to trust us, we have to have a good relationship with them. Well, that relationship with them is based upon whether we have good relationships with each other in the husband and wife relationship. So how does it affect the children? There are many other ways. We probably won't have time to create an exhaustive list, especially because I want to make sure that I give you something you can do about this too. Hopefully you see I'm already alluding to that. We need to make a full framework, put it into place in order to make sure that our children have the most beneficial outcome from our parenting. But children also experience other things, or there are other effects from parental conflict, such as stress. Children's stress levels go up if their parents don't get along with each other or they happen to be arguing with each other. Sometimes a sign of this stress is silence. Sometimes children aren't sure if they can trust discussing with their parents, so they pull back and they don't discuss anything. This is because they've seen the person that the parent professes to love more than anyone else, which is the spouse, not be trusted or not be treated kindly. And so the child is pretty sure that they won't get good treatment either. So they pull back, they become reactive, they hide things, they oftentimes become dishonest and silent. When parents don't get along, this can also lead to the children growing up and not trusting any type of companionship relationship. So this could be very detrimental for them, for their future love life, or even just friendships and stuff in the future. If they don't have a trust of how their parents can work things out with each other, then they may not feel like they can trust anyone to ever work anything out. One thing that's talked about a lot is that the children often try to take the blame. They try to make their parents feel better. They'll try to bend over backwards to serve their parents. They think it's them that's the problem. Oftentimes because what the parents are going to do with the children, the way they're going to do the parenting, because they're not on the same page, is the source of the conflict. And when that happens, then the child thinks they actually are the biggest part of the problem. This is a big burden to carry, and it is not their burden to carry. The parents need to learn how to get on the same page with each other and do that, get on the same page. In fact, I can help you with that. There are so many more things that we could talk about, but I'll leave you with just one more as far as effects go, and that is that sometimes a child could develop attachment problems. So there are some children who start detaching from parents, either one or both, and they can develop kind of a reactive attachment relationship where they're just looking for attention instead of a real relationship. And this could really be troubling for the entire life of the child as they move forward in all of their relationships. So what can you do about it? Well, one key thing I've already alluded to is make sure that we're working on ourselves and our own self-government. This is the Teaching Self-Government channel after all, and that's what we talk about here. So making sure that we're calm, that we're self-regulated, that we are using the skills and principles of self-government on ourselves, and making sure that we are putting ourselves in alignment with truth, and then making sure that we work on our relationships with our spouse and with the children, do proper teaching and correcting. Now, as we are doing that bottom layer of the pyramid where we get in alignment with truth within ourselves, we are going to be teaching and correcting ourselves, just like we hope to be able to do with the children. So those are key things that we can work on, but there's even more. So we need to learn what to say. Sometimes what we're saying is getting us in trouble, and we just need new words to say. And that's okay to need that sometimes. I can help you with that. When I took in treatment children years ago, I had to train myself to say things differently so that I could be predictable for them, but also so that I could be predictable and deliberate for me. I'm going to be a better version of myself, a calmer version of myself, if I focus on doing what I planned to do. So there is a video. It almost has the same title as this video. It's very close, and it's going to go into more detail about some of the things that you can do to strengthen yourself and your relationship potentially with your child and your spouse when there's been a history of parental conflict. That video is called How Parental Conflict Affects Children. I'll see you there.